Why do you constantly feel tired, even after a good night's sleep, a relaxing weekend, or even during a vacation? You still can't shake off that fatigue. Why, despite good health, stable blood levels, and a less physically demanding desk job, do you come home feeling completely drained? This is an issue that billions of people around the world are dealing with, yet it seems no one has an easy answer. We eat well, but it's not enough. We take supplements, yet they don't make a difference. So what's the reason behind this constant exhaustion? The answer is simple: it's you. You wake up on Monday feeling refreshed, thinking, today's going to be great. You head to work full of energy, but by 3 p.m., you're already drained. The next day, it hits you at 2:30, then 2 o'clock, then 1 o'clock. By Friday, you're starting the day with a foggy mind and barely any energy. When you search online, endless reasons pop up. Some say you overthink everything. Others blame insomnia, Mercury retrograde, or even planes releasing toxic exhaust over cities to slowly harm us. This overwhelming mix of theories only makes things worse. Meanwhile, the media and industry, noticing our drop in energy, convince us we can't start our day without their overpriced coffees. You rely on tea and coffee to get through the day, and when that's not enough, you turn to energy drinks. Even at a young age, it's a struggle just to make it through a day at the office. Is this really a sustainable lifestyle? Of course not. Eventually, you might turn to supplements and even medications to cope. And all the money you earn just ends up back in the pockets of an industry that thrives on not telling you the whole truth. So how does this vicious cycle end? With no clear source of the problem, how do you escape this daily grind? The answer is simple. Start by reading the work of the few scientists who, despite the pressure, remain committed to the truth. And for those who say, I just don't have the time, well, that's exactly what your Kegi Bool is here for, right? Let's rewind to the early 1970s. As the American lifestyle rapidly evolved, people embraced new technologies and endless opportunities, reaching new heights in consumption and production. Skyscrapers rose in cities, factories churned out products of every kind, and a new technology, the computer, began entering every corner of life. Hundreds of clothing stores, thousands of restaurants, and 10 TV channels to choose from. The possibilities seemed endless. Don't laugh, this is actually an important detail, and soon you'll see why. Thanks to all these advancements, the American public, and eventually the whole world, was introduced to something new: limitless choices. But as this capitalist paradise thrived, an increase in the consumption of psychiatric drugs was also observed. This caught the attention of neuroscientist John Olney, sparking his curiosity. In his research on modern life's impact on the brain, Olney introduced the concept of excitotoxicity, bringing the world's attention to a neurotransmitter called glutamate. Glutamate, the brain's most heavily used neurotransmitter, plays a critical role in processing information and decision-making. Almost every choice you make involves glutamate helping your brain transmit and interpret data. But there's another side to glutamate. As John Olney's research showed, excessive glutamate buildup can lead to serious problems. In simple terms, it can ruin your life. Why? Because this essential neurotransmitter, crucial for the brain's electrical communication network, can also be deadly to it in high amounts. As our ancestors wisely said, as the saying goes, a little is good, but too much is harmful. This is the main theme of our video. Let's take a quick journey through history. Tens of thousands of years ago, our ancestors lived in caves or simple shelters, existing in small groups as primitive Stone Age people. Their primary goal was simple: survival. Every morning, they'd wake up, leave the cave, and start their routines. Gatherers collected fruits and vegetables while hunters went out for the day's hunt. By evening, they'd return to the fire, eat, and sleep. Day after day, century after century, the pattern repeated. Notice how simple life was: wake up, stay warm and dry, eat, survive, and sleep. Then came the invention of the wheel, the use of metals, and gradually, humanity evolved and lifestyles grew more complex. No longer in caves, we began living in larger groups, forming villages. Daily tasks multiplied, caring for the home, gathering firewood, farming, hunting, and raising animals. With these changes, the choices and considerations we faced each day started to increase. This evolution meant that parts of the brain, like the hippocampus memory, prefrontal cortex attention and decision-making, basal ganglia movement and reward, and amygdala emotional responses started working harder and sending more signals. And remember, one of the main neurotransmitters carrying these signals is glutamate. As humanity progressed, we began living in even larger communities and cities. The things we need to control, learn, and maintain have multiplied 1,000-fold compared to our Stone Age ancestors, making life far more complex. Then came the Industrial Revolution and modern times, where life truly spun out of control. Let's do a simple comparison. 20,000 years ago, our ancestors would wake up and focus mainly on finding food for the evening. But today, you're caught up just figuring out if breakfast should be chia seeds with almond milk or a mix of oats, bananas, and eggs. Let's not even get started on lunch and dinner. Using AI, I found that the average person thinks of 200 different food combinations from morning to night, a staggering number. And remember, every thought and decision releases glutamate in the brain. Now add in decisions about what to wear, which accessories to choose, navigating complex Excel sheets, preparing PowerPoint presentations, writing thousands of lines of code, and making countless decisions at work. Gradually, your brain turns into a glutamate swamp. You think you're unwinding, clearing your mind, but each scroll sends a signal through your brain. And it's not just one part, nearly every area, especially the prefrontal cortex, lights up. This process also includes the release of dopamine, our brain's reward hormone and neurotransmitter. Every time you scroll, dopamine is released, sometimes a little, sometimes a lot. Your brain is always curious about what's next, especially if something interesting appears. That's when even more dopamine is released. Over time, this dopamine creates a microdosing effect, subtly numbing you. It's similar to substance addiction. With substances, the pleasure is intense and the crash is quick. Here, the process is slower but just as addictive. In this case, you experience hours of microdoses of pleasure, and before you know it, it becomes a lifestyle. That's why hours slip by as you mindlessly scroll. Developers design these apps with this knowledge, crafting them to keep you engaged. Remember, if a product is free, then you are the product. One way or another, they'll find a way to profit from you. So, after thousands of direct, indirect, and subconscious neural bombardments from morning till night, what do you think happens to your brain? On average, a working person makes about 35,000 decisions in a day. And that's not even counting the constant external stimuli bombarding you. Imagine the overload. After this storm of decisions, your nerve endings actually get clogged with glutamate, and I mean that literally. With too much buildup, your brain's signal transmission starts to break down. As a side effect, your brain forces you to feel tired, pushing you to sleep to prevent a burnout. Otherwise, this glutamate buildup can burn out nerves and kill cells over time, leading to conditions like Alzheimer's, and Parkinson's. Well, thankfully, I have my bed to sleep a good 8 hours and reset myself. Otherwise, my life would probably fall apart, right? Unfortunately, it's not that simple. You might not realize it, but your brain may already be struggling. When your glutamate-saturated brain finally goes into sleep mode, it starts to clear out, especially during deep sleep. But that reset only goes so far. During sleep, the glymphatic system and astrocytes work as cleaning mechanisms to clear away excess glutamate and reorganize synaptic connections. For this deep cleaning, you need at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep. So let's say you get a good night's rest. Problem solved? Not exactly. Remember, at the beginning of this video, I mentioned that you are actually the source of the issue. Actually, it's more about your unchanged lifestyle. Let me explain. Let's say your brain's maximum threshold for glutamate before reaching overload is 100 units, just an example. Now, when you wake up, you're starting fresh, almost like a newborn. You wake up with a clean slate. You wash your face, brush your teeth, shower, choose clothes, pick breakfast, and pack your bag all before you even leave the house. You've already made hundreds of decisions, pushing your glutamate levels to around 20. On your drive to work, navigating traffic adds even more choices, reaching 40. Once at work, with presentations, reports, and lunch decisions, you're at 80. And by 3 p.m., a wave of sluggishness and distraction sets in. This fatigue is mainly because your brain releases adenosine, a sleep-regulating chemical, to counter the excess glutamate buildup. Essentially, your brain signals, we need a break or we're in trouble. But of course, taking a nap isn't an option. Thankfully, we have coffee marketed in Hollywood films and shows as if it's essential to survival or social acceptance. So, your coworker hands you a big cup, saying, "Here, this'll wake you up." It's actually not a lie. Caffeine in coffee blocks the buildup of adenosine for a while. Notice I didn't say it stops the release, just the buildup. This detail is key. Caffeine acts like a dam, holding back adenosine while your body continues to produce and store it. Once the caffeine wears off, that dam bursts and all the stored adenosine rushes to your brain receptors, leaving you so drowsy you might nod off at your desk or on the bus. By the time you get home, your glutamate levels have already shot up to around 150. Then come the dinner choices, TV shows, and endless social media scrolling, pushing your brain far past the 100-unit threshold, reaching to 100 or more. Now, even if you get a full 7 to 9 hours of sleep, remember that your body can only clear out about 100 units overnight. So what's the result? You start the next day already at the maximum 100 units. Essentially, you've lost the race before it even begins. You get through the day with more coffee and stimulants, and by the time you're home, you're at 350. You sleep, but wake up the next morning at 150. Over time, this back and forth means that due to your lifestyle, your brain's glutamate levels never fully reset to zero. Even with sleep and time off, you still feel constantly tired and drained. Do you see how this vicious cycle traps you? Over time, this unbroken loop gradually pushes you toward depression, anxiety disorders, and unfortunately may lead to brain damage as you age. For those thinking, well, thanks for killing the last bit of my motivation, don't give up just yet. I showed you the enemy, and now I'll show you how to fight it. We all have to work, and modern life comes with its own demands. But don't worry, I'm not about to tell you to go live on a mountain and herd sheep. I understand the realities of life. Let's talk about what we can do within these limits. First off, many people misunderstand sleep. Correcting that is step one. The human body has a biological clock, shaped over hundreds of thousands of years of evolution, aligned with cycles of light and darkness. This internal rhythm is crucial for functioning well. Sun rises, we work. Sun sets, we rest. That's the basic rhythm. But now, nighttime darkness barely exists. Our homes are brightly lit, streets are illuminated, and we all have big screens glowing like moons and phones lighting up right near our eyes. All of this disrupts our biological clock, keeping our bodies from entering a natural sleep cycle. This is why we end up staring at screens until 2 or 3 a.m., thinking we're just not tired. Breaking this habit is essential. In the evening, as it gets dark, our bodies start producing melatonin, a key hormone for sleep. To avoid disrupting its release, try putting down your phone or turning off the TV after 10 p.m. Ideally, you should be in bed by 11 or 12 at the latest. Being a night owl isn't worth sacrificing your health. Try to eliminate artificial light sources at least an hour before bed. Set your phone to eye protection mode as soon as it gets dark to reduce its impact. At home, switch from bright, overhead lighting to indirect, soft yellow lights. Spend your last hour reading a book instead of looking at screens. You'll notice sleepiness coming on naturally. When it does, avoid picking up your phone, just go to bed. Keep your room free of artificial light. Sleeping in darkness is essential. To reduce decision fatigue, use that screen-free hour in the evening to prep your clothes and breakfast for the next day. This way, your brain stays clearer in the morning. Add powerful antioxidants like blackberries and blueberries, to your breakfast. They help reduce accumulated glutamate. For lunch, choose foods rich in omega-3, such as walnuts, chia seeds, and fish. For snacks, sprinkle in natural magnesium sources like spinach, almonds, and pumpkin seeds. These additions support brain health and help manage the daily buildup. Friends, coffee is one of the biggest traps modern life has set for us, wreaking havoc on our nervous systems. Sure, 1 cup a day is fine, no complaints there. But more than that, it's madness. Instead, try green tea. Its theanine both calms and boosts alertness, and dark chocolate. The theobromine in it energizes the brain naturally. A green apple's natural sugars and acids can wake you up just as effectively. Don't say, "I can't survive without my coffee." That's just the dependency talking. Coffee chains are cashing in on this dependence, making billions. Give your body 2 weeks to break the habit, and you'll find you don't even want to pick up a coffee again. Let AI handle your unnecessary daily decisions. Ask ChatGPT to plan your outfits for the next 3 days based on your criteria. Instead of scrolling through countless channels, just say, "Recommend a movie," and watch that. And again, put the phone down. Set a timer to limit your social media time so you don't end up mindlessly scrolling for hours. Most importantly, start meditating right away. When you feel sleepy during the day, it's adenosine at work. Take a 15-minute break and do the meditation I taught in my meditation and chakras video. It'll make you feel recharged. In the evening, spend another 15 to 30 minutes doing other meditations from the videos. You'll feel revitalized. These practices will start to clear the glutamate that has built up in your brain. If you can make them a standard part of your life, you'll gradually succeed in flushing out and resetting those accumulated levels. The fatigue that clouds your mind and makes you feel drained and unwell will begin to dissipate. You'll start sleeping better at night and working more effectively in the morning. Please take this advice to heart, friends. It always saddens me to see people heading to work looking like zombies. Don't let those greedy companies get rich off your struggles by selling you overpriced coffee, antidepressants, and supplements. Science reveals the nature of our problems and what we need to do about them. Artificial intelligence can assist us in reducing daily burdens. Please take advantage of these tools to save your life. Otherwise, those companies will continue to exploit you for every last penny and keep you unwell. I hope this video has helped you understand your issues and how to address them. Please share this with those around you so that as many people as possible can learn from it. I hope other science pages also address this topic and that it reaches millions. This way, many people may at least find answers to questions like, "Is there something wrong with me?" or "What's my problem?" Thank you all for watching.